Hello. In this video, we're going to talk about how to do a command line installation for a Palo Alto Networks next generation firewall. So if you notice in this firewall, it's brand new. It has no host name. It's set to the time zone for US Pacific. We jump over here to the interface and we take a look. It's set for the DHCP client. So this is pretty much out of the box. I literally just deployed this into Proxmox for this lab demo. And we're going to try to do this time from the command line. So on my website, NetAdmin.us, I have a couple documents here. So one, the basic NGFW configuration and the best practices workshop both have sections for initial configuration and building on the initial configuration for how to do the command line. So everything for the command line is going to be a set command um, to actually set configuration, or there are request commands, but everything is done inside of configure. So if we jump over to a text document that I already have done, you can see I already have some commands here. So I'm going to initially jump into configure, and then using the set commands, I'm going to do a device config system. I'm going to set the host name to lab FW10. I'm going to set my time zone to US Central. I'm going to set a login banner. I'm going to set both of my NTP servers. And then I'm going to set a static IP address with the default gateway and netmask. And then I'm going to set two DNS servers, one primary, one secondary. And then I'm going to do a commit. Then the last thing that I'm going to do is, if you remember for some previous videos, when we do things like the dynamic updates in particular, the very first thing you have to do is check now down at the bottom left-hand corner. So I'm actually going to do that check now from the command line. You can also do these installations from the command line, and those commands are built into or are listed into the best practices document. So this is a great methodology or practice if you want to do scripting for all of your firewall installs. So if you have a large number of firewalls, or you have over time you continuously add firewalls, building out scripts for your firewalls helps you make sure everything is consistent across the board. So you don't have to worry about going in and pointing and clicking to each individual part. You can actually just go in here like we're going to do in just a second and dump this configuration in, or you can use some different methods like Ansible to push configurations. Or if you want to take the next step, which we'll do a video on later, is going into the APIs. So for the firewall, that is in particular an XML API. So I'm going to take this configuration that I have here, and I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to jump over to an SSH session that I've opened up to our firewall. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste this configuration in. When this commit is done, I will come back to the video, and then we can go into the GUI and we can check our progress. Okay, so we have reached the end of the commit. You'll notice that down here it stopped at 98%. The reason is because we changed the IP address. So we're going to jump to the GUI real quick, and then we're going to change our IP address to 124, which was the one we changed it to. So you'll notice that the commit actually took. And then we'll go ahead and log in, and then we will go back to the command line and check and see as well. Okay, so I've logged back into my firewall using the 124 IP address. So now we notice here on device and setup under the management tab, we have our host name is set to lab-FW10. Our time zone is now set to central. If we jump over here to our interfaces, we'll just double check that all the settings are here. So we're set to static. We're 124. We have our net mask. We have our default gateway. If we go to services and click on our gear next to services here, we have our DNS settings of quad 8 and our secondary is quad 1. If we go into our NTP settings, we have our NTP servers that have been populated. If we scroll down here on the left, down to dynamic updates, we should see dynamic updates populated in here. We should see our content, but we're not seeing that content. So I'm going to go back to the command line in our new tab where we've SSH'd into .124, and I'm going to go into configure, and I want to jump back to my notepad, and I'm going to take this command. I'm going to paste this command in and unknown command request. Okay, so the request command, I needed to have ran it from not inside of configure. So we'll go to our document here for future sake, and we need to move the exit above here to bring us out of our configure prompt to where we can actually run our request command to check settings. So we notice here that we have now versions of software that is downloaded for content, because that's what we check specifically, content upgrade. So if I go back to the firewall and I do a refresh on this page, now I have content and application information. So there are a few other things that you can do. I can actually go in and I can download these content and I can install them from the command line. Those things are in the best practices document of those commands for that. So this is just a great way to begin to do some different methods of installation, and I personally like the scripting method because it allows me to standardize across the board. I don't have to worry about mistyping a network mask or mistyping passwords or mistyping SNMP strings or things like this that are, especially things that are consistent across all of my firewalls. So I hope this video has been informative, and thank you very much.